Welcome to How Preschool Teachers Do It.
This is Alison Kentos. I am an early childhood educator.
And this is Cindy Tarabush. I am an early childhood consultant.
This podcast is for parents and early childhood professionals.
Let our experience and research-based knowledge become your guide. Welcome back, preschool peeps.
Hi, peeps.
I'm about to catch Alison off guard because I didn't see her look at her notes. There she goes.
You almost made me.
There she goes.
You almost made me swear on the podcast, which is a feat in itself that we have gone 7 years and I have not sworn once.
Same.
That is quite amazing, and I almost did it there.
We know how to be good in public. Come on.
In public, yes.
Yes. Okay. So I caught her off guard because we want to shout out people in different places who are part of our Preschool Peep community so that you who are listening alone know you're not alone.
You're not alone. You are not alone. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we're shouting out Ecuador today. So hello.
Hello, Ecuador.
And we're also shouting out Vernon, Connecticut. That's where my cousin lives. So hi.
Is your cousin do you think your cousin is the person?
I don't know. Hi, if you are. You know who you are.
There's more than one person in Vernon, but I can't help but think that your cousin
and her children. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. And I also used to have a friend that lived near her, but I don't think she lives as close to her anymore.
If you're in Vernon, if you're in Vernon, Connecticut, and you're thinking, I'm not her cousin, then thank you.
All
right. Thank you for finding us. This episode is releasing on what is Memorial Day in the United States, which is the unofficial but official
start of summer
here in the United States. It, of course, also is so that we remember those who died in the service of our country.
Yes.
And it is the unofficial start of summer. So we thought it would be a good idea to give you an idea as families plan their summer vacations and their weekends away and quick outings, whatever they're going to do.
Whatever you're going to do.
Right. So we thought, maybe this is a good time to share an idea that people might want to share with the families if you yourself are not listening as a family. Okay. So, and that idea is asking the families to please document their trips, wherever they go, day trip, overnight trip, week-long vacation. We don't care.
Yeah.
We want them to document their time in these places with their children and families, and then have their children bring it in.
Yes.
When we say document, we mean several different ways.
Yeah.
They could be taking photos that they would be willing to send in. They could be taking videos.
Yes.
Tell them brief videos. The children have limited screen time that they would be allowed to use.
Yeah.
What else did we say?
Journals, quotations that children have said about what they're experiencing. I would even go as far as maybe, I don't know a better word for this, so I don't know. Specimens, but that's not the right word.
Artifacts?
Yeah.
It's artifacts.
If you're at the Jersey Shore, say, because that's a big Memorial Day thing, for collect some seashells and bring them in, kind of thing. Sand.
We're good with the sand, the seashells.
Or but you might also be elsewhere and there might be something really cool to collect.
Yeah. So artifacts.
Artifacts.
We're going to collect.
Specimen I knew was not right, but
it's artifact. We're going to ask families collect artifacts. And even collecting or writing a journal and collecting quotes can just be they are somehow recording, whether they're writing or audio recording a conversation with their children about where they are or where they've been and what they thought and all that sort of thing. And then we want them to send it in.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I think this is the best show and tell. I'm not a big fan of show and tell, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
I'm really not a giant fan of show and tell. I think it puts pressure on children and families, and it's certainly not my job to pressure them.
Yeah.
As a parent, I can tell you that I was a working mom. I had 1,000 things going on, and I didn't always remember. I'd be like, oh no, it's show and tell day. Grab a sock and bring it in. It's a lot of pressure. So I'm not a giant fan. And I also always feel bad for the children whose families do forget.
Yeah, but there's ways. Okay, so we do sharing. We call it sharing day. in my class, and if they forget, like, oh, find something in the classroom that you want to share.
Oh, come
I
on,
know,
it's
but,
not the
like,
same.
It's not the same.
It's not the
but-
same. It's like the people sitting out there who don't get the Academy Award and the camera's on them and they have to pretend to be happy about it. It was an honor
It's my
just to be
whole
nominated.
Life.
Yeah, all right, I'm
Always
just
second
saying.
place.
I'm just saying.
Always a bride.
It's not
never
always
a bride kind of thing.
Oh boy. It's just
She's
it's not
got me on
always
the
an
soapbox
honor.
now.
It's not always an honor to be nominated.
Okay.
So I'm just not a giant fan of that. I also think that we often during show and tell make children sit for longer than their attention
that's
span,
true,
and that's a
yeah,
problem.
that's true.
So at any rate, we talked about show and tell one time, a long time ago on this
time
podcast. Go find it, people.
Yeah,
Go Google
that
it
was
or
a really
something.
good episode.
Yeah, go find it.
Yeah.
But I think this is the best kind of show and tell. And it's because it's not a formal show and tell day or time.
you're just bringing stuff
As
in.
the children travel or do things or spend a day with their family, they will bring things in and then they just happen to get the spotlight that day.
Yeah.
And they get to show us where they were and what they did, and if they're verbal, talk about it. You know, even for infants and toddlers, this can certainly be done. You ask them to send pictures in, and then you can show the children the pictures of where they've been with their families and talk to them about it.
Yeah.
When they're verbal, they can talk to us about it. And it sort of opens up the world because children are learning about places that their own families didn't take them.
Go. Yeah.
Right? You know, there are definitely, children who, like by us, a lot of children go to the Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
It's really common.
Yeah.
But there are fewer children who, let's say, went to the mountains in Massachusetts,
True.
right?
Yeah.
For a weekend or something, and brought back pictures of the mountains to share. And then we can teach the children, you would have to drive a long way, but then you can see these mountains.
Yeah.
You can get there by car from here. You know, you can talk about what sort of transportation did the family have to take to get there.
Yes.
What did they bring with them while they were there?
Is the weather different there than here? Because often I think of mountains, I think of cold weather, which I know is not always true,
But it can
but
be.
it can be. Yeah.
It at least gets chilly at night when I'm in
Yeah.
the mountains.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and it just, it opens up the world to the children in a way that I think is very, very authentic.
Yes.
It's not me saying, here, learn about this place. It's the children teaching each other.
Yes.
There's a lot to be said for peer learning.
Yes. And I think seeing the trip through a child's eyes is different than through the adult eyes, right? So like when the child comes in with stuff that they want to share and they're talking about what was important on this trip to them, which might be something entirely different than what is important to mom and dad or grandma and grandpa or whoever went with you, it kind of gives you insight into who they are as a person and what's important to them.
Right.
I like that.
Right. It really does. I also like that. I'm thinking about places I've been. I tend to go
Still.
to go to places that are pretty touristy. And if
Yeah.
you're like me and you go to touristy places, what you know for sure is that every path and road leads to the gift shop.
Yes.
Right? You're always ending at the gift shop.
Yes.
There's always here buy a souvenir.
Yes.
And so if you do, I'm not saying families have to buy souvenirs, but if they do, let the families know we would love to see their souvenirs even.
Or a postcard maybe of just the
Those
place.
are fairly inexpensive.
Fairly inexpensive. Here's a postcard of where we were. Because then you can kind of, maybe track of like, this is how far away that is too. Like this took an airplane to get to rather than a car ride to get to, right? So like you can kind of do that and maybe post the postcard somewhere and be like, this is a plane ride away.
Sometimes the postcard arrives after you're back. This
Yes.
happened when my son and his fiancée went to Italy.
Yeah.
They sent me a postcard from the Vatican because they knew I would love that.
Yeah.
Beautiful postcard from the Vatican. And they were home, 2 weeks
Well, you're
before it
talking
got here.
International mail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were home approximately 2 weeks by the time it got here. So wouldn't it be kind of cool if we say to the families, if you are able,
Right.
you don't have to,
Right.
if you are able to send a postcard from where you are to the
Right.
class,
Yeah.
And then even if the child's back, we can talk about how
still-
this is where he was, or this is
Right.
where she was. And look, she sent us mail.
Mail. And then you can talk about how mail works.
Yeah. And why it took so
Why it
long.
took so long, and this is the process that it went through to get to you.
I one time went to, those of you who are around my age are going to know what I'm talking about better than others, maybe. But I one time dragged my family, didn't go to, dragged my family. When we were in Virginia, we went to the mountain that inspired the Waltons. Look, I can't even say it.
Can't even say it.
The Waltons.
Yes.
So we went to, it's not called Walton's Mountain. It's called
should be, though.
Schuyler, something like that. I'm sorry if I'm getting it wrong if you're sitting on Walton's
Sounds
Mountain
like
right
that
now.
might be Skylar.
Schuyler, maybe.
Yeah.
I could be totally wrong about that name too. Now that I think about it, that might have been the road, the highway. I don't know. But at any
asking
rate,
the wrong
I'm
person.
I'm getting off track.
Yes.
So I went to what was the inspiration for the TV show The Waltons.
Yeah.
And they have their own little post office in
Oh.
the little place that you
Now
can
that's
go
cool.
into.
Yeah.
They have like a tourist thing in the school there. So you go
Okay.
into the school and it's like set up for fans of the Waltons, and they have their own little postmark,
Oh, that's cool.
right?
Yeah.
So you can also check when you travel, folks, and to let families know that sometimes places they go to have a way to get a specific postmark.
Yeah. That's cool.
Which would be so cool to show the children.
Yes.
And it teaches them about the mail, the
It
postal
does.
service.
It does. Yeah.
Right? Anything, I'm also thinking, like, as I've traveled, so I've gotten souvenirs, we've gotten postcards,
Yeah.
artifacts
Artifacts.
from where we've been,
Yeah.
pictures, videos are so great, but they have to be short.
Yes. Yes.
We can't have like a 30-minute video montage. That's not going to work. What you need to do is inform the families of whatever your screen time limits are.
Yeah.
And if you're working in a state or a location or a program that does not allow screen time in that way, then don't say videos. That's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Just tell them that photos would be great. I also am a giant fan of audio recordings.
I think audio would be really cool.
If
Yeah.
you can't do video because you can't use screens that way.
Yeah.
Audio recording, being somewhere and having them describe it, or even getting people's reactions
Yeah.
can be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I wish that I knew this back in the day when I would take my children somewhere and they would be like, oh, look at that,
Yeah.
look at that,
Yeah.
to capture their little voices that way.
Aw.
Please let the families know that whatever they send in, we are happy to give back.
Yes.
That's one of the reasons why families don't like to send things in
Right.
from like vacations and stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever you give me, I will be happy to give
it
back.
back.
Though if it's photos, they can probably share it with you digitally now.
Yes. And then you can print them on the computer. If
You can
wanted to
print them and hang
have
them up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like maybe you want to take, if someone takes a photo of somewhere they've been that shows buildings, hang it in your block area.
Yes, that would
If
be cool.
someone, right? If someone
That would
takes a photo like they went to the mountains, hang it
Yeah.
in your science area.
Yeah. Yes. That would be cool.
So think about what area would this fit into. Somebody takes a picture. My family does this, but we're a little strange, My uncle in particular does this. He'll take a picture of where we've eaten, like the restaurant.
Oh yeah, Uncle would do that. Yes. Yes.
He'll
he does.
document where we've eaten.
Yeah. So put that in dramatic play.
Exactly. Put that in
Yes.
dramatic play if they send that in.
Yes.
Or a picture of them eating.
Yes.
Tell them they don't
There's
have
no
to.
wrong answer here.
Yeah, there's no wrong answer.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the most spectacular
No.
vacation pictures. It can be pictures of, let them know, it could be pictures of the scenery,
Yeah.
of events, of simple day-to-day routines, like
routines.
having a meal.
Yeah. What did you wear on vacation? I think is a good little simple thing because you don't wear the same things on vacation as you do when you go to school.
True.
Often.
True.
So that might be cool. Here's
Or-
what we did to get ready this day.
Or a picture of if you're staying in an Airbnb, a hotel,
Oh, yeah, there's that too.
wherever you're staying with
Yeah.
relatives.
Yep.
A picture of the place you stayed would be great to talk to children
Yeah.
about.
The
And then we would hang it in the block area.
Yeah.
The transportation.
that you're taking. Because like if you're going to different areas, they have different ways of transporting you around, right? Like if you're at even like an amusement park, there's
Mm-hmm.
monorails that we don't have just going around here. So like that would be cool. A train if you took a train.
The airport.
The airport, a bus if you took a bus into the city, say if you just took a day trip into a city. There's That would be really cool that you can
to look at all the
yeah.
transportation. And I think when we say to the children, well, this is your classmate was
Yeah.
on this airplane.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
classmate was in this airport.
Right. Yeah.
You know, just don't get in trouble with the airport personnel on our behalf.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, to say, oh, yes, this is the bus we took.
Yes.
You know, when we take older children on school trips, we often group them all together next to the bus and take a picture for
That's
some
true.
reason.
That's
Or
true.
I've done that
Yeah.
with older children.
But also, like, if you're taking like one of those like bigger charter kind of
Yeah,
buses, they
yeah.
have bathrooms in them that
They do.
and often that's what I'll hear. Like the child will be like, "There was a bathroom on the bus," because they're used to school buses that don't have that. You know, so
Yeah.
that makes it fancy.
That's
bus,
true.
You know,
Fancy or, in my case, avoidant.
avoid it. Yes.
I totally avoid
Yes.
that if I can.
If you can.
I've gone places and I've taken, so I've taught children of all different ages and directed a program that had children of all different ages. And we went with teenagers to Washington, D.C. on a charter bus that had a bathroom, and yet we stopped to use the restroom because people don't want to use that
I
bathroom.
know, but it's there.
But it's there, and it's an interesting little tidbit, even to
Yeah.
take a picture of the door of it
Yes.
and go, that went to a bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just tell the families, doesn't have to be fancy at all.
Yeah.
We just want the children to be able to come in and share their experiences with the other children.
Yeah.
So I hope that inspires you to tell families to do things during the summer that will help you to have meaningful conversations in your program. And if you're thinking, yeah, but we don't have a summer program, that's okay. They can
okay.
bring it in the fall.
Bring it in the fall.
Yep. Tell them we're going to want this in the fall in their next
Yeah.
class.
Yeah.
Do this as sort of a school.
Getting to know you kind of activity.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's like
just getting
such a
to know
like
you.
easy, comfortable way for children to start talking to each other.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's a nice getting to know you, what
Yeah.
you did this summer.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's a lot of ideas that
good.
people can go and
Yeah.
parse out.
Yeah.
And we will catch you next time. We hope that you have had a meaningful, restful
Yes.
Memorial Day.
Yes.
If you are in the United
You're-
States.
Yes.
And if you are not, that's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
We will catch you next time on the podcast.
Bye, peeps.